Being home alone, it's something most of us look forward to. A chance to finally have some peace and quiet. But sometimes, that silence is just a mask for something that's been waiting for you to be by yourself. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true home alone horror stories that will make you double check your locks before you go to bed. Story 1. The Sliding Door. This happened back in the winter of 24. I was 19 at the time, living in a relatively safe neighborhood in Oregon. My parents were away for a weekend retreat, leaving me in charge of the house and our German Shepherd, Buster. Around 11:30 p.m., I was in the living room playing video games. Buster was asleep at my feet. Suddenly, he bolted up. He wasn't barking. He was just staring at the dark hallway that led to the kitchen. His ears were tucked back, and he let out a low, vibrating growl that made the hair on my neck stand up. I paused the game. The house was dead silent. I figured it was just a raccoon on the deck, so I walked into the kitchen to check the sliding glass door. It was locked, but the curtains were open. I looked out into the backyard. Everything was covered in a fresh layer of snow. That's when I saw them. A set of footprints. They led from the woods straight up to the glass door. But they didn't lead away. They just stopped right at the glass. My heart dropped. I checked the lock again. It was secure. I pulled the curtain shut and decided to head upstairs to call my dad. As I reached the top of the stairs, I looked down at the kitchen floor. There, on the hardwood, was a single, wet footprint. The person hadn't been trying to get in. They were already inside. They had been standing in the dark kitchen, watching me play games, and retreated into the basement just as I walked in. I ran into my room, locked the door, and called 911. When the police arrived, they found the basement door wide open. The intruder had slipped out the back while I was upstairs. They never found out who it was, but I haven't stayed in that house alone since. Story 2. Guest Access. In early 2026, I moved into a smart apartment in downtown Chicago. Everything was controlled by an app. The lights, the thermostat, and especially the front door lock. It felt high-tech. It felt safe. One Tuesday night, I was lying in bed reading. At exactly 1 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a notification from my home app. It read, "Front door unlocked by guest." I froze. I didn't have any guests. I lived alone, and I had never given out any digital keys. I quickly tapped the app to lock, thinking it was just a glitch. 2 seconds later, another notification. Front door unlocked by guest. I felt a surge of adrenaline. I grabbed a heavy lamp from my bedside table and walked toward the living room. The apartment was pitch black. I tried to use the app to turn on the lights, but they wouldn't respond. The app just kept spinning. Then I heard it. A soft, metallic click from the front door, followed by the sound of a heavy boot stepping onto the floor. I ducked behind the kitchen island. From the shadows, I saw the silhouette of a man standing in my doorway. He wasn't rushing. He was just standing there, looking at his phone. In the blue glow of his screen, I could see he was looking at a modified version of the same home app I used. He had hacked my hub. I didn't wait for him to find me. I started screaming at the top of my lungs and charged toward him with the lamp. It caught him by surprise. He stumbled back into the hallway, and I managed to slam the door and manually throw the deadbolt, the only thing he couldn't control with his phone. Story 3. The Crawlspace. I was 16 when this happened. My parents were out at a late-night movie, and I was tasked with watching my 8-year-old brother Leo. We were in the basement watching a movie when Leo pointed at the small wooden door in the corner. It was a crawlspace used for storage. "Someone is knocking," he said. I laughed it off. "It's just the pipes, Leo." But then I heard it too. 3 distinct, rhythmic knocks. Thump, thump, thump. I walked over to the door. It was latched from the outside. I figured it was a prank, or maybe a stray animal. I opened the latch and swung the door open. It was dark and smelled like damp earth. I shone my phone light inside. Nothing, just some old Christmas boxes and a dusty rug. We went back to the movie, but I felt uneasy. 10 minutes later, I heard a sound from directly above us. The sound of heavy footsteps walking across the kitchen floor. I knew my parents weren't home yet. I grabbed Leo's hand and we ran up the stairs to the front door. As we passed the kitchen, I saw that the pantry door was wide open. We made it outside and sat in my car in the driveway with the doors locked until my parents got home. When my dad went inside with a baseball bat, he found the crawlspace door in the basement wide open. But that wasn't the scary part. Inside the crawlspace, hidden behind the Christmas boxes, was a sleeping bag, several empty water bottles, and a sketchbook. The sketchbook was full of drawings. Drawings of me and my brother. Some of them were dated from weeks ago. Someone had been living in our crawl space, coming out at night while we slept and watching us from the shadows of the pantry. To this day, I still check the latches on every door in my house before I go to sleep. It's easy to feel safe when you're behind locked doors, but as these stories show, sometimes the lock is the only thing between you and someone who's been waiting for you to be alone. If you have a true story you'd like to share, my email is in the description. Be safe out there